In this tutorial, we will train our agent to avoid dynamically moving obstacles using IsaacSim. Dynamic obstacle avoidance is more difficult than static obstacle avoidance because agent must predict obstacle trajectory to avoid it. At the same time, successful avoidance of moving objects is an essential feature for a robot in a real-world scenario. Now let's see our problem definition. The objective of the robot is to run inside the track as fast as possible while avoiding moving obstacles. Simulation ends if a predefined amount of time passes, or if the robot body collides with a wall or green moving cylinders. As an observation, we use robot linear and angular velocities. Also, we use grayscale images from current and previous steps. Two continuous images are used to make the robot learn to predict trajectory of the cylinders and avoid them in advance. Note that we are not using the OpenCV function to convert RGB image to grayscale image. Instead, we convert it manually. This is done to keep image information on tensor and make calculations as efficiently as possible. As for reward, the robot gets positive reward proportional to its forward velocity. Also, the robot gets reward proportional to the robot's counterclockwise rotation velocity around the center of environment. Rotation velocity around the center of environment is proportional to the z component of cross product. Cross product is represented by this formula. Here we assume that the robot stays on the xy plane. So, z-coordinate is 0 and z-direction linear velocity is 0 as well. This formula can be simplified into this form. In this tutorial I tested 6 feature extractors. The difference of each feature extractor is in the part related to convolutional network. The simplest feature extractor has a repeating structure of a convolutional layer and a rectified linear unit. The second feature extractor has a batch normalization layer between the convolutional layer and the rectified linear unit. Batch normalization stabilizes covariance shift by normalizing activations per channel. The third feature extractor has a residual block after the rectified linear unit. Residual blocks stabilize optimization and speed up convergence. The fourth feature extractor has both batch normalization and a residual block. In the fifth feature extractor layer normalization is used. Whereas batch normalization normalizes across batch dimension, layer normalization normalizes across feature dimension. The sixth feature extractor has both layer normalization and a residual block. To execute the training, please download the Dynamic Obstacle Avoidance zip file from the Google Drive and extract it to your home directory. Move this folder inside the classic folder, which is located under the manager-based directory. Then, move these files and the folder inside the SB3 folder, which is located under the Reinforcement Learning directory. In this folder, we have trained models and tensor board logs. In this file, commands to run the training are written. So, to run training or to play trained models, just copy and execute these commands. Now let's see training results. The easiest parameter to understand is reward. We can see that highest reward is obtained with the model which uses only residual connections. On the other hand, reward of the model with only normalization layers is worse than the standard model. What could be the reason? Batch normalization calculates feature using this formula. In case of reinforcement learning, data distribution changes over time because policy is changing every update. This creates non-stationary feature representation which causes performance degradation. In case of residual blocks, they don't depend on batch statistics. So, they improve feature quality and don't introduce instability in RL objective. The simplest network is also surprisingly good. This indicates that this dynamic obstacle avoidance task is not that hard for the network and it can extract enough information for PPO optimization. Here is approx KL log. It is approximate mean KL divergence between old and new policy. It measures how much a policy has changed after an update. So, if KL values are tiny, it means that learning is conservative. If these values are big, it means that learning is aggressive. In case of PPO, ideal behavior is when it slowly increases in the early stages of learning and stabilizes later. We can see that the training curve follows this pattern. In case of no normalization and residual connections are used, gradients become poorly scaled, features are unstable, so network learns very slowly. In some cases, we have spikes at certain time steps. These spikes are not always bad signs. It may mean that the agent discovers new behavior, so advantage estimates spike. At the same time, it also may mean that value function becomes inaccurate, which causes bad value predictions, so PPO update overshoots. Here is the explained variance log. Explained variance is represented by this formula. R is return. It is sum of future rewards that are computed using actual rewards collected from the environment. V is expected return predicted by a critic. We can see that expected variance value quickly jumps to 0.6. This means that critic architecture is strong enough and learning signal is initially very clean. Then, all curves degrade over time. This is probably because agent visits new states and reward distribution changes. An important thing is that even if explained variance drops, the policy can still improve behavior. We saw that the reward graph increases throughout training. This happens because even if critic predictions are imperfect, relative ranking of actions can still be correct.